Happy Tuesday morning, friends. Going live here because unplanned going live because of, two reasons. One, I've got a webinar in an hour and a half, not even 1:30 today on goals. And in preparation for it, I just got a little frustrated. So this is probably going to be more of a vent than anything else. But I think you'll find this vent to be very helpful, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed. If you're feeling like you've set a million goals and you haven't accomplished them, if you're just feeling underwhelmed with your performance and overwhelmed with the amount that you have to do. Matter of fact, that would be a better title for this: underwhelmed with my success, yet overwhelmed with how much I have to do. That is kind of the theme of a lot of entrepreneurs. And it's a complex world, and there's a lot of reasons why. But the title of this, as you can see right there, of my podcast is Growing Smart. And it's one of the things I want to bring up right here at the beginning that we need to do in order to combat overwhelm. We need to get smarter. And I'm not saying you're dumb, and I'm not saying that I'm a genius. What I am saying is that we live in a world that believes that all of the overwhelm we're experiencing is solved with greater simplicity. And to a certain degree, that's true. But I think we've gone off the rails on what we mean by simplicity. Typically, what we mean by simplicity is just make things easy. But really challenging things tend to have more complex solutions. Making things easy, dumbing them down, if you will, it's not always the best thing. That's called a downgrade, and we want to actually avoid downgrade. What we do want to do is cut out the noise. So increasing focus so that we can actually have the opportunity to bring more complex solutions and strategies to the table is better. Let me give you an example of what I mean. 100, 200, 300 years ago, people could write books. I mean, a lot of books. And there's authors who do it today. It seems like they're churning out a book every single week. How do they do this? They have tremendous focus. Some of these people will go into their office every day and for 12 hours do nothing but write and study. So they churn out amazing content, deep thinking. And because they've spent so much time deeply thinking, some of the stuff they put out just appears simple and easy to understand. What we used to call being very approachable. It was very apprehendable. We could get it, understand it, digest it easily because they had already done the deep work of deeply meditating on a topic and giving it to us. When I say simplify, that's what I mean. Reducing noise, amplifying focus so that we can come up with a deeper meditation and the result being a very clear message. Okay. That is not necessarily the same. It's definitely not the same as downgrade, meaning let's just make things dumb and easy to understand. 3 simple steps to solving anything. Those 3 simple steps that most of our blogs today offer, because we have no attention span, usually don't help us at all. And our lives have become nothing more than just consuming content to a point where we're not actually getting to what the real solution is, which is to grow smart, to actually turn off all the noise and begin having a deeper thought pattern that allows us to have better solutions. So where does goal setting weigh into this? We hear a lot of talk, especially at the beginnings of years, and what I'm calling now is the new beginning of the year with kind of a 2020 reset. What we hear a lot of talk with goal setting is dream big, plan big, set these big goals. And as a coach, I often sit down with people who have been to many goal setting sessions and they come back with these amazing goals. And I have actually come to the conclusion that it's harmful, that the more goal setting they're doing, they're actually hurting themselves because they haven't learned goal execution yet. And I'm actually a proponent now for teaching goal execution or strategic thinking before we actually do any sort of goal setting. Right? It would be like, I'm not going to hand my child the keys to the car and say, now your goal is to drive 100 miles until I've taught them how to drive the car. And what we've learned is that we're not very good at execution. Now, hear me on this. We have proven to ourselves, most entrepreneurs, most business people have proven to themselves that we're not very good at executing. The next step is not to go and do goal setting then. We've got to learn proper execution first. So at 1:30 today, I have a webinar. You can register for it if you're watching this now. I'll drop it in the comments here right now. Put that in the chat there. You should be able to see that. It's a ridiculous thing popping up there, but you can see it in the comments, hopefully there. A link to my webinar. If you're seeing this right now, we don't have a lot of attendance on the live broadcast, but if you end up watching this in the next hour, run and get to that because it's all on goal execution. We do talk about how to set proper goals, SMART goals. Most of you know that, but if not, we'll teach you how to set right goals. But we spend the bulk of this 2-hour webinar on goal execution. And you may be thinking to yourself, I can't stomach 2 hours of content. And I can't stomach anything that may have more than 3 simple steps. And while I absolutely sympathize with that, I'm going to tell you that if you want to accomplish every single goal, there is some moderate complexity to how that looks. And I give it to you in this webinar in a very simple format, a very step-by-step format that's been thought through. But you have to actually take that format, understand it, and begin to apply it. And the greatest understanding will come in the attempts of application. Okay. Those may seem like big words, but again, we're here to grow smart. All right. And what we need to do is we need to use our mind. We need to use our reason. And we need to begin to self-study scientifically, use science on ourselves to understand where we fall short. And I'm going to tell you right now, guys, it's not usually in the goal setting. Okay. You can set a SMART goal and write a better goal. It's typically in the execution. And that usually comes because we don't have a good system for executing. What we have is a system for overwhelming ourselves. Okay. Just turning off your TV and turning off your social media apps is a good start, but it's actually not enough. You need to know how to then take the time that frees up and use it very, very wisely. And if you set a bunch of big goals and then you try to cram them into a poorly executed system, it's not going to work real well. So let's flip that. Let's actually learn how to execute goals and then plan goals and then practice that execution and go back and tweak and track and tweak and modify as we move on. That's what works. Okay. So this is about an 8-minute introduction to what my webinar is going to be on today. And again, if you don't get a chance to watch that webinar, the replay will be posted on YouTube. I've actually done it before. There's already videos there now on this topic. You can go back and watch, although I think today's will be even better than the ones in the past. At least that's my hope. So let's get out of overwhelm, guys. Let's have a radical approach to the cultural norms. The cultural norms of entrepreneurial overwhelm and setting big goals and just hustling till it hurts. And I'm really tired of all the motivational speakers out there, to be honest, that are just talking about hustle, 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 hustle. For most people, they're just going to burn out. You know, you don't need to just get fired up every day and dream big. I mean, that's a good inspirational message. And there's moments where I need that type of encouragement. But what we really need to do, grow smart. We really need to plan methodically. We need to understand ourselves and our hindrances. We need to be able to move away from the things that overwhelm us and begin to execute on our ideas in a much more scientific manner. That might not be as fun as hearing a motivational speaker telling you if you dream big, you'll achieve big. But I've sat with many entrepreneurs with big dreams and little execution, and maybe that's you. And I'm telling you right now, dreaming bigger is probably not what you need to do. Hustle harder may not be what you need to do, but growing smarter is probably the solution. And if you're interested in doing that, you can check out my webinar today or record. A big fan of my private client group where we do this kind of stuff all the time. It forces you to set aside a little bit of time every week to work on yourself and on your business using ideas that are proven and not just in your business hustling harder. So if you want some predictable success, check out the private client group, check out my YouTube channel, or watch the webinar today. Till the next live, which may be just as spontaneous as this one, I'm Thom. This has been Growing Smart. See you on the next podcast.